Hello everyone, got a few dirty jokes for you today. So three men are discussing whose wife is the most stupid. The first man, grinning, exclaimed, "Let me tell you about my dear wife. She decided to treat herself to a brand new kitchen, spending a whopping $10,000. The catch? She can't even whip up a decent meal. It's as if she's conducting a symphony of pots and pans, but the end result is always a culinary catastrophe." The second man chuckled and chimed in, eager to share his own tale. "Well, my friend, you think that's amusing? Wait until you hear about my wife's little adventure. She took a spontaneous leap of faith and purchased a shiny new car for a staggering $25,000. The punchline: she can't even navigate her way out of our driveway. It's like watching a slapstick comedy every time she tries to reverse or parallel park. Let's just say we rely on taxis more than we ever expected." After a hearty laugh, the third man leaned in, ready to unleash his punchline. That's nothing. Mine bought 128 condoms for a business trip, and she doesn't even have a penis." So one Jewish Ukrainian says to another, "Hey, my friend, how about we indulge ourselves in this exquisite imported bottle of scotch? Care to share it with me?" His companion responded with a chuckle, tinged with a touch of practicality. "Well, I'm all for it, but let's be real here. Our wallets are feeling rather slim, and we can barely scrape together enough money for our daily sustenance. I must inquire, where on earth did you manage to acquire such a luxurious bottle of scotch?" Grinning slyly, the first Ukrainian leaned closer, ready to unveil the unconventional series of trades that led to his prized possession. My dear friend, it's a tale of bartering and unexpected connections. You see, I managed to acquire this precious scotch by trading some Russian caviar for it." His companion's eyebrows arched in surprise, intrigued by the intricate web of exchanges. "Russian caviar? That's quite the luxurious commodity. Pray tell, how did you manage to get your hands on such a delicacy?" With a twinkle in his eye, the first Ukrainian replied, My friend, that's where the tale takes an unexpected twist. I traded some calamari to the Russians in exchange for the caviar." His companion's puzzlement grew. "Calamari? But we reside far from the ocean, hundreds of kilometers away. How on earth did you acquire calamari in a landlocked region?" The first Ukrainian's laughter filled the air as he unveiled his ingenious solution. "True, we may lack access to the ocean's bounties, but as fate would have it, it was a prosperous month for circumcisions in our community. And you know what? Russian soldiers couldn't tell the difference." So two college students accidentally missed the math final exam. The next day they both went to plead with their professor. He was feeling pretty good that day, so he allowed them to retake it. He told them to both come back tomorrow for an oral exam. When they both showed up, he told one of them to wait outside while he tests the other. So one enters and the other puts his ear to the door to listen. The professor begins asking the question. "You are riding in a train cart and you get too hot. What do you do?" The student replies, "I'm open the window." "Okay, now that window is 2 feet wide and 3 feet high. The train is traveling 50 mph going north and the wind is blowing at 15 mph due east. How long will it take for new air to replace the old air in the cart?" The student is clearly confused at this impossible question and just answers, "I don't know." So the professor gives him an F, dismisses him, and calls in his friend. He begins asking his friend, "You are riding in a train cart and it gets too hot. What do?" He says, "I will take my jacket off." Okay, but it's still too hot. What do you do? I take my shirt off. I understand, but it's very, very hot. I will just get naked. Okay, but there's a guy in front of you getting a hard-on by watching you strip naked. The student replies, Professor, the entire train can screw me in the ass. I'm not opening that window. So a guy sits down in a movie theater and notices that the man in front of him has brought his dog and it's sitting in the seat next to him. He thinks it's unusual, but he likes dogs, so he decides that as long as it's not a distraction, he won't mention it. The movie starts and pretty soon there's a funny part. The dog makes some low woofing sounds that seem like laughter. In a little while there's a sad part and the dog appears to be weeping. This continues throughout the film and the man sitting behind the dog is astounded. When the lights come up, he taps the dog's owner on the shoulder and tells him, I gotta say, and I know it sounds weird, but it seemed like your dog really enjoyed this movie. The dog owner looks at the dog and nods. I know, it really is weird, he says, because he absolutely hated the book. So 4 college students missed an important exam, choosing to party instead. They go together to their professor the next day and said, We're sorry we missed the exam. We had a flat tire on the way to class. Is there any way we could possibly take a retest? Sure, replied the professor. Come on in tomorrow and you can all take a retest. It'll be pass or fail though. The 4 students arrived the next day to take the retest, and all of them sat down in their seats. Before handing them their exams, their professor told them, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is there's only one question on the test. The bad news is if any of you fail, you all fail the test. The students sat there, a bit worried from this professor's strange introduction to the exam. Then the professor handed out the 4 exams, and each student stared down at their papers, which contained just one simple 4-word question. Which tire was it? So on this farm, there's a cow, a chicken, and a horse, and the 3 of them are best friends. They do just about everything together. And one day, they're sitting at the window of the house, and the farmer's kid is watching MTV, and they're watching it, and they hear the music, and the horse says, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to do that. So the horse calls up Guitar Center, and he says to the guy on the phone, hey, listen. I want to learn to play guitar. Guy on the phone says, no problem. Come on down. No, there might be one problem. I'm a horse. No, it ain't a problem. We'll get some attachments. I can teach you to play. Promise. So horse turns out to be a natural. He gets good. And he calls over cow and chicken and he's like, look what I can do, and he jams out like Jimi Hendrix. And cow says, holy shit. That's awesome. I want to learn to do something like that too. What's like that? And horse says bass. Learn to play bass. So cow calls up Guitar Center and she says, hey, listen, I want to learn to play bass guitar. Guy on the phone says, no problem, miss, come on down. Hey, this might be a problem. I'm a cow. Nah, no problem. I helped a horse recently. I can teach you to play too. Promise. So cow learns to play the bass, and cow is fucking amazing at it. So cow and horse are jamming, and chicken gets a bit jealous. He says, damn, I want to learn something too. But not like that. Horse says, well, I mean, we need a drum around here. So chicken calls up Guitar Center, and he says, hey, listen, I want to learn to play drums. Guy on the phone says no problem, man. Come on down. Ain't maybe a problem. I'm a chicken. No, ain't no thing. I taught a horse guitar and a cow bass. I can teach you drums. So chicken learns the drums, and he's fucking amazing. So cow, horse, and chicken all start having jam sessions whenever the farmer's out. And one day they're playing, and a big record agent is driving down the road. And he hears them, and he's like, what the fuck? That sounds amazing. So he stops at the farm, and he finds them all playing in the barn. And he says, holy shit. You guys sound awesome. I want to represent you, make this a real band, make some music. You're gonna be huge. So cow and chicken and horse take this guy's deal, and they move to the city. They cut albums, and they're big. Real big. Top 10 hits, platinum albums, the works. They get set for their first tour. But there's a problem, see. Horse gets a phone call, his mom's real sick. Cow and chicken, though, they're cool as hell. They say, listen, go see your mom. We'll delay the first show a couple of days, so fly back home, spend some time with her, and then jump on a plane and come meet us. Horse says, thanks, guys. You're the best, and he takes off. Couple of days later, Horse's mom is just fine. Turned out to be a real bad cold. She gets over it, and he spends another night there. The following morning, he gets a call. It's his agent. Cow and chicken's plane went down. They died in the crash. The band is done. He's lost his best friends. And Horse, this breaks him, man. He's been through so much with them, and he feels real down in the dumps. So he takes a walk, and while he's on that walk, he just can't shake the blue, so he figures to himself, all right. One drink, just to get over it. So Horse walks into the local bar. Bartender looks at him and says, hey. Why the long face?